Owen Jones. We're going to be conducting a short conversation on Google Hangouts with Kent Ebersole. The subject is going to be the emerging outdoor industry in Colorado, of which we'll have Kent tell us a little bit about himself. Good afternoon, Kent. How are you?
Hi, Owen. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Great.
Well, first of all, Ken, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the outdoor industry, which I know you've been in for quite a while, not only professionally, but also with a personal interest.
Right. I have, like many people, enjoyed the outdoor industry from afar. And by that, I mean I lived in New York City. And my experience with the outdoors was either taking a train somewhere out of the city or renting a car or Central Park. And even though I was in the outdoor industry, in the media world of the outdoor industry, at some point I realized I wanted to be where the action was. And that's how I ended up in Colorado. I made a choice to come to Colorado because it is a hub, one of the hubs of the outdoor industry.
Well, over all that time, tell us about some of your experiences and some of the experience you've had in the outdoor industry.
Sure. Yeah.
Not just commercially, but privately as well.
I mean, primarily, people are in this industry, work in this industry because they have this passion, and it's really what drives the industry, this passion for the outdoors, and it really drives the authenticity of these companies. It's difficult to be a company that sells a product that might save your life someday if you haven't been in that experience before. So I've been lucky enough in this industry, like many others, to participate in hiking, climbing, backpacking, canyoneering, road biking, mountain biking in places all over the U.S. I mean, really lucky to be in slot canyons in Utah, on the top of a mountain in the state of Washington, and everywhere in between. I feel like I've experienced a lot in the outdoors, digging snow caves and blizzards near the Donner Pass in the Sierras in California, wondering what am I doing here, and what the Donners must have felt as well. So it's been a phenomenal opportunity for me to be a part of many activities. By the way, it goes without saying that for every story I can tell, there's someone out there that can tell a story that is far better than mine. And so that's one of the great things about coming together in this industry is the storytelling. We call it cocktail hour. It's about what you did last, so it's fun.
Oh, very good. Tell us a little bit about the things that are going on now and some of the changes that you've seen over the years. Where's the industry heading right now?
Yeah, I see a couple different aspects of the industry that I really like, and you know, there was phenomenal growth in the outdoor industry in the 70s and the 80s, and there's been probably a decade here of just flat innovation, and I mean that from a product standpoint. But in the last couple years, that has changed, and it's the advancement of technology in fabrics and the advancement of technology in how to take that fabric and make something out of it. And so those two things, aspects of the outdoor industry, have changed dramatically in the last 3 to 4 years. And as a result, what you're getting now is really smart people taking really good fabrics or technologies or products, putting them together, and you've got products that are lighter weight, so they're easier to carry. They last longer. I mean, some of them are just indestructible, and the prices of the technology is more affordable for more people. So if you wanted to go out and buy a tent for a great trip, the options for you to do that are virtually unlimited at many price points. So that technological revolution is real, and it's happening. And the second part of it is that I really like is there's a new age of branding in the outdoor industry, and There's big, wonderful brands out there that have grown up and are known to everybody now. And if I said the North Face to you, or REI to you, most people in America know the North Face and REI. Well, there's a host of other brands out there that are smaller but really working hard, and they're starting to develop brand names beyond outdoors. So when you do walk into a store and you see that brand, you recognize it, and that's exciting. That sort of marketing innovation is really exciting in this industry.
Well, let's bring it a little close to home, and let's talk about the Colorado companies and maybe some of the products that you're thinking of when you describe those advancements.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple here, and I'll start with something that I think technologically is just dynamic, and it is BOA, which is BOA Technologies, and they're based in North Denver, and they developed a ratcheting system to clamp down your shoelaces or your backpack or your skis or any device that needs to be held together and then expandable so you can take them off. And I use the product for my trail running shoes, and if you've ever trail run, you know that it's a constant adjustment that you're making. When you're going uphill, you want a different sense of tension than when you're coming downhill. And by the way, if your shoes come untied on a trail run, it's not only annoying, it's dangerous. And so having that ratcheting system, it makes your life easier, and it works phenomenal. And that's BOA Technologies, and really neat, innovative company in Denver. There's a couple other companies I can think of. One is Sierra Designs, which is a sister company of Kelty and Slumberjack, and all based in Boulder there, owned by American Rec Corporation. And Sierra Designs essentially have a new vice president of product development. He came in and kind of wiped out everything they're doing, and he found a way to make everything a little bit better, and not really started from scratch, but really said, if this product isn't good enough, we're going to make it better. And so has completely revolutionized everything they do. One of the great things that they did, they started off, they were the first company to use dry down, which is as I spoke to earlier, is a product or a fabric enhancement, essentially a technology enhancement, and it's down that doesn't get wet. And most people know that down is lighter than synthetic, and it's warmer than synthetic pound for pound, but if it gets wet, it's really difficult to dry out, and you really get cold. And so dry down is a technology that coats the down so that it doesn't get wet. It repels water. They were the first people to use it in sleeping bags and apparel, and then not only did they use it in sleeping bags, which was innovative in and of itself, but they designed a sleeping bag just for that purpose, which I've never seen anything like it. And it has no zipper on it, but yet it opens up to let you in and out. It's amazing. It's amazing technology, but amazing design in that technology. I'd also add in here, I mean, there's so many companies in Colorado, but I'd also add Smartwool socks. And the reason I'd add Smartwool socks is because, yeah, they're socks, and everybody makes socks, and if you go to REI, there's a wall of socks, maybe 100 socks, one for every purpose that you have. But Smartwool started that sort of, if you have a purpose and you have a foot size, and your feet get cold, and you're going to be hiking, or your feet are warm, and you're going to be running, whatever you're doing, whatever the condition is, and whatever your feet are like, they've got a sock for you. And so they really innovated that sort of sock for the specific purpose, which is almost like getting custom socks. But what they do now is, with the design that they have, I mean, look at the socks. They're beautiful socks. And I just purchased a pair of Smartwool socks for my wife last weekend for her birthday. I mean, they're beautiful socks. They could be on a runway in New York City for a fashion show. And I think that's another part of this industry is, yeah, we have technological advancements here, but we have design into this as well that is either appealing to my style sense, but it's also functional. I think that's really important, and it's coming right out of Colorado here.
Oh, very good. So if someone, and this is Colorado careers, of course, so I'll ask the obvious question. If someone has a thought to enter the outdoor community and the outdoor industry, what do you think are the primary qualifications for doing that? Now, I'm not thinking of necessarily college education, although that features into it, but describe the sort of person that does well, and what the best way of joining the community is.
Right. I mean, I think there's a couple things that I look for when I'm looking for the people that would come and join the outdoor industry. And number one is there really does still have to be an affinity to the outdoors. And everybody that I've ever hired and worked with, in my experience here, has had that affinity. And it might be different. And 20 years ago, when I was working at a backpacker magazine, you really had to be a backpacker. But now, the ability for you to do multiple things in the outdoors adds to that experience of that company growing. So you don't have to be a mountain climber to work for a company that makes climbing products. So number one, it's important to have that affinity. Number two, I think bringing in a variety of experiences that open doors for them. I mean, this is the outdoor industry. It's not the largest industry in the world. And so when someone can come in with an affinity and some skills that can help my company achieve my goals, that's really important to me. And so those skills can come from a variety of places. I talked about Smartwool a minute ago and about fashion. So maybe you come from a fashion company and you bring fashion to a brand that has the technology, needs some style to them. Maybe you've worked for a company that has a skill set that you don't see in the outdoor industry. I think that's important to recognize that the skills you bring to the outdoor industry might be something they don't have right now and allows them to grow. I think the third thing is leadership. There's a lot of smart people here in this industry and aggressive people, good people. It's a great industry to be in, but leadership is always needed in every company, and it's great to have somebody come in that has that leadership capacity or that experience to come in and be a part of the growth of the outdoor industry. I think the more insular this industry is, the less likely it's to grow, and so more people that come in from the outside and demonstrate that leadership, it affects not just the company they work for, but the entire industry. I have plenty of examples of people that have come in and changed the industry for the better. I think those three things.
So some degree of passion's at the root of it, not just passion for business, but passion for the outdoor industry, and as you pointed out earlier, a deep understanding of some of the conditions and the experience, so you can talk from a basis of qualification. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So moving on a little bit, what's the best and easiest, I hate the word easiest, but the easiest way for people that are interested in the outdoor industry to mix with them, see what's going on, and get a snapshot of maybe what's coming up for the future year?
Right. There's a variety of local events or activities that people can participate in, but on a national scale, most everybody in the state of Colorado that's in this industry travels to Salt Lake City in January and August. It's the Outdoor Retailer Show, and if you want to be a part of the industry, having a presence there for a couple reasons is important. Number one, you get to meet people, and it's important to meet those people. It's a good, as I said earlier, a good group of people. Number two, you get the vibe of the industry. You get to see what people are like. You get to see the changes that are going on, and you can walk by booths and you can maybe assess needs at that show. I'd be remiss to mention that there are other shows. That's the primary show, but there is in Denver here in January, once a year in January, the SIA show, which is the Ski Industry Association show. Just as critical to be a part of that, especially if skiing is the area you want to go. want to be in the outdoor industry, but skiing and outdoor, as time goes on, they're sort of blending together here. And so that's the national level. However, on a local level, I'll give you one example. The Front Range is so full of outdoor industry people that if you get involved in social activities in the Front Range, it's hard not to bump up against somebody else in the outdoor industry. So in September, we had flash floods that came through and ripped out homes and people's houses, and the people that banded together in part to put that the parks and open space back together were all outdoor industry people. Not all of them, but most of them were on the leadership level were outdoor industry business owners, employees, and so there was a social event there to take care of our city, and it was magnificent. And as I attended a few of those events, I noticed that everybody, I knew all the people there because they were all in the outdoor industry. So there are ways like that to be a part of this industry when you're here in the Front Range, and finding out where those events are and attending them.
Well, that's a great segue into my next question, which is really the outlook for the outdoor industry. How is it gaining momentum? Is it growing? What are the outlooks, and what are some of the challenges for the outdoor industry in the next decade?
Right. You know, the outdoor industry, if you look at a graph, I don't know if you can see my hand, it steadily goes up, and it doesn't experience these boom or bust cycles. It's nice, steady growth. However, and again, there are companies within the outdoor industry that experience phenomenal growth, but there are a couple challenges that the outdoor industry faces, and they're aware of them, and so in people that have experience in dealing with these challenges are a great asset. And those two challenges are diversity, number one, and number two, youth. And sometimes they go hand in hand together, diversity and youth, but they're two separate issues addressed in separate ways. And diversity meaning as America becomes more and more ethnically diverse, when you go outdoors, and what you and I might typically think is outdoors, Owen, is there a culture of diversity around you? And there generally isn't. And so how do we get other ethnic cultures to understand that they can enjoy the outdoor industry, outdoor activities as well? Because that's the next market that this industry needs. And there are several companies making strides in those directions. And by the way, it's really fulfilling to know that if you open a door as a company for an ethnically diverse group of people to come in, they come in. It's almost as if they're dying to come in and be a part. So it's wonderfully exciting. The second part of it is youth. And you hear a lot in on the news about youth and complacency and obesity, and they play video games all day long, and to some extent a lot of that research is true. And if you're indoors playing a video game, you're not outdoors hiking, biking, or running. And so it is an issue finding ways to create activities that engage kids to be outdoors. And it works. But I believe that it's one of those challenges that the outdoor industry will have to hit head on for years to come. I think it's important in both of those areas for people to figure out a way. I think companies are responsible for this as well, not just the Outdoor Industry Association, but companies are responsible for figuring out ways to engage those two sectors of the population so that they have some kind of attachment to the land. And if they have an attachment to the land, whether it be through hiking, biking, running, land or water, fishing or whatever, they'll continue on at some point in their life being outdoors and enjoying the outdoors. But if we miss a generation of that attachment to the land or water, we have bigger issues then. But it's a great challenge, and it's not a hopeless challenge at all. It's exciting.
No, that's good. And what occurs to me is going along with that, there's got to be an increasing amount of pressure as we're going along. Is that something you can tell us where that's heading right now, and maybe a couple of things that we need to be, now let's use another word, circumspect about as we focus on retaining some of the rights we've got to the outdoors?
Right. And you're specifically thinking about land and conservation of land as outdoor space that we can all use?
Yes.
I think there's two aspects. That's a big part of it, and there's groups out there from the Conservation Fund to the Conservation Alliance to, if you're up in the Northwest, it's Western Rivers, to Leave No Trace, to Tread Lightly. So there's groups out there that are constantly doing good work, and some of them do great work in trying to protect that land. But as I said earlier, every company in this industry owes it to themselves to be a part of that land protection. And as individuals in the outdoor industry, we owe it as well. And so that could be small things. It could be you and I picking up trash and we go for a hike. Or it could be getting involved in the Outdoor Industry Association's annual trip to Washington, D.C. to lobby for the protection of land and water. So it's a big part of this. It's a big part of the success of the outdoor industry. If there's no space with which to use a mountain bike, then mountain bike companies and sales will diminish drastically.
One of the most striking things that you mentioned to me, and it sticks in my mind, is that as we use the outdoors, then the industry is really close to that. And as your example with the floods in Colorado and the damage to the open spaces, they came out and really did a sterling job of getting the parks up and running again. So with that in mind, you clearly are pointing out that this is an industry that's got consistent growth. It's not one that's really prone to spikes and valleys. So there's a good future for it, especially with those two elements, which is conservation and a good, steady, conservative development of the enterprise. Are those the main assets that you see that's going to keep the outdoor industry moving in the future?
Yeah, I think those are two big keys to it. I think one other aspect of it is the outdoor industry, people, and companies recognizing that outdoor to you, or to a Latino family, or to an African American family, might mean something different. And so that goes back to that ethnic diversity question. But being outdoors means something different to everybody, and so embracing all those differences in your store, at your company, I think that's an important part of it. And the reason I say that is because when I got into the outdoor industry, you were either a backpacker or a climber, and that was about it. And now, 20 years later, I can think of 100 things in the outdoors that you could call yourself, and there's probably a product or a company that's trying to reach you. And so being open to, not everybody's like me, and some people, to them, the outdoor industry might be taking a half-mile long hike along the Grand Canyon, the top of the Grand Canyon, not even venturing below. And that's their experience in the outdoor industry, and there's nothing wrong with that. To others, it's digging deep and going to the bottom and getting into some sort of a slot canyon or hole in the Grand Canyon that no one's ever been before. So both of those are in the outdoors. Both of them are important for the growth of this industry. I think that's an important aspect of this, is recognizing that what you think is outdoors may not be what I think is outdoors.
Kent, this has been a great conversation, and we could carry on, I'm sure, for an hour or more. But let's stop it right here. Thank you very much for coming on air with us, and very happy to have you agree to share your knowledge and wisdom with our audience. So
it's my pleasure. Yeah, as you can tell, I love the outdoor industry, and I enjoy trying to share it with as many people as possible.
Thank you, Kent.
Great, thanks.